The newest scary movie coming out this November is titled Bottoms Up. That's right, my name's Tony Squares. Today we're going over the Bottoms Up Alliance, how it took out Nate in the latest episode of Survivor Season 49. I believe it was episode 7, don't catch me on that. The Merge episode. But again, this is Survivor Squared. Every week we're breaking down the Survivor action as it happens. We're having on guests. We have more guest episodes coming out later this week. But this episode in particular, I could not do this alone because so much happened. We lost a chicken. We said goodbye to Nate. We had people flipping. We had idols played. We had advantages gained. All of this happened, so I need a little bit of help. So introducing now to you a person who has been here every step of the way. She's smarter than me at this. She knows more about Survivor. She's much prettier than I am. Let's bring her in right now. Come on in, Bailey Buffs.
That's the nicest way you've introduced me, Tony. Wow, I feel so special.
Is it really? I thought I was nice every week.
You're nice every week. That was just the nicest.
Well, it was not the nicest episode of Survivor. I felt like this was the intro to the old like MTV Real World when people start to get, when things start to get real. Like these people, all the gloves were taken off, all the niceties, all the, I'm such a huge fan, I'm so happy to be there. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to work with you. Let's be friends. Let's hug it out. I love you. That's all gone, Bailey. We had the merge. All of these people, 11 of them came together and bombs were dropped. And it was my favorite episode of the season so far, Bailey.
Oh, absolutely. There was so much going on. I've already rewatched it a second time and it just came out last night because I was like, there was so much happening and there was so much flipping. There was so much inner turmoil. There were so many tribe lines being crossed, as Steven referred to it, cross-pollination. Like there was just these little seedlings of everyone starting to realize, oh, I have to start playing if I want to build my resume and if I want to win this in the end.
I agree with you completely, but let's get into the thumbnail, the title of the show, the reason why we're doing this, and what happened last night was the birth of a maybe poorly named alliance, but it is the Bottoms Up Alliance. Shannon voted out last week in a tribe of 4 when Steven, Jawan, and Sage came together. Steven, original of the old Hina tribe. Jawan and Sage, originals of the old Louie tribe, and they came together to vote out Louie member Shannon. And then the merge happens. Everyone's coming to their beach. They decide to not go say hi to anybody and decide to flip the game on its head. Bailey, walk me through that whole situation where they don't say hi.
That was the most uncomfortable merge I've ever seen in my life. The fact that it wasn't that they were just hanging out at camp, they were lying down at camp. They could not have been more relaxed and lackadaisical, but also not, because then they're speaking about how they're freaking out inside. And it's like, we can hear them. Everyone's celebrating. Should we go? Should we stay? Should we lay down? Should we stand up? Why are you being so weird? Like, you know they're all coming. You know that they're about to find out what happened regardless. You are just being so much more awkward and weird than this has to be. Just go say hi. It's the merge. Everyone will understand. You'll have your moment to explain. And they did. And it was the oddest. They are the most awkward little trio. I hate the name Bottoms Up. I don't dislike the trio. I'm kind of very curious to see what happens here. I think that there's a lot that they can work with, but I hate the name, and they're just the most awkward little group of people I've ever seen in my life. I can't believe they didn't go say hi.
Everyone is hugging. Everyone is saying, oh my God, nice to meet you. This is we're so excited to be here. It's a moment. It's a Survivor bucket checklist or whatever. And they're just hiding in the corner, like afraid to reveal themselves. But you brought up a great point. They have to explain why Shannon's not there, because for the longest time, it has been the original Louie tribe versus the original Hina tribe. That's been the mindset of everybody. The past 2 votes before Shannon were 2 Hina members chopped out. Now Hina's down in numbers. They assume it's going to be a battle to the end. And yet, everyone's revealed that Shannon's gone. And Sage and Jawan mostly have to explain themselves. They didn't decide to say like Steven played an idol. They instead decided to throw Shannon under the bus and back it up and move it forward and back it up and move it forward, because they said that she went insane. They said that she started throwing Jawan's name under the bus. They said that she just could not be, like, they couldn't live with her, essentially. That's how they painted the picture, a Brandon Hance type situation, which I thought was A, ingenious, B, extremely villainous, and C, amazing decision.
Oh, it was the only decision. I mean, that was the only way Sage and Jawan were going to save their asses. And even Steven almost from not being seen as like this huge competitor who somehow weaseled his way out of this. I thought it was also so smart on Sage's part. Sage is the one that told everyone about the idol, but she goes, no, it was Shannon. It was Shannon. Shannon did it to Savannah. And I thought it was interesting that the reception from Nate and Savannah immediately was like, all right, well, that happened, but it's okay. We can stay strong. And it was, no one doubted it, which was crazy. Not a single person. I thought maybe Sophie or Kristina, who got along with Shannon, maybe would have said like, oh, that's surprising. I didn't like get that from her when we were on a tribe together. No, everyone just went, yep, that checks out. She crazy.
They all bought it hook, line, and sinker. It was such a pivotal moment in the game and in the season because even without Sage and Jawan, Louie has numbers to make things work, especially if they bring on Sophie B and Alex from the blue tribe, and it still seemingly is a red versus yellow with blue in the middle. However, unbeknownst to Rizo, Savannah, Nate, and whoever else is still in that alliance, it is now a Hina plus Jawan plus Sage plus Alex powerhouse here, and Bottoms Up has turned the game on its head. And Nate is the one that ends up going home. We'll get there in a second. I do want to touch on how this whole season, seemingly even with the switches, even with the swaps, I got mad at all the switches that happens. I have a guest coming out on this channel later who played in a season beforehand, and he had a switch happen to him, and it ruined his season. So we go over how we don't like the randomness of pick a buff out of a hat tribe switches. That being said, I'm not going to be ignorant here. The tribe switch led to this moment. The tribe switch led to this moment. Would Shannon and Jawan have flopped had it been done differently? I don't know.
You know, when we first talked about this, a couple episodes ago, when you talked about how much you hated tribe swaps, I was still very much on the fence. And I said, listen, I get it. It's frustrating. But we all know that luck is a part of Survivor. And I do think you're right. Without these tribe swaps, without this cross-pollination, we would not have had the episode we had today. We need those tribe swaps in order for people to establish connections with other people on the team. Like you had talked about, you want to see Yankees, Red Sox. Okay, I get that. But we wouldn't have had this episode had it just stayed Hina versus Louie. Like it wouldn't have been that way. We needed it to happen. We needed these people to meet with each other, to form alliances with people on other beaches, because now they want to swap. They have stronger connections with certain people. I think it's crazy anyone that makes an alliance day one and keeps that till the very end, because you don't know everyone on the beach. You don't know everyone yet on the other tribes. You don't know who you're going to bond with more. And I think that's apparent even like Savannah and Sophie meeting and immediately being a duo. Like you see these things happen because you just naturally bond with certain people faster than others. And we're not going to see that unless we have tribe swaps.
And then there are some people who didn't bond, no matter how many times you stuck them together. Savannah in particular. Savannah is either all in or all out with everyone on that island. And it's clear, they showed a couple of times that Savannah and Sage, it's not working. It's not melding. And even more so, my favorite moment of this episode was MC searching for her Beware advantage after the immunity challenge. MC doesn't have a vote. She has to go get it, and she's searching in the woods. She has a map and doesn't know how to read a map, apparently, but finds the area, and then suddenly the worst possible person to find her searching for an idol finds her searching for an idol in Savannah. And Savannah, to her credit, decides to make it as awkward as possible. Now, Bailey, I thought what MC did was perfect. Savannah comes over and goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And MC doesn't even try to hide it. She's like, "I'm searching." I'm searching for a key. Would you have had the wit to do the same thing, or would you have been like, "Oh man, my hand's in the cookie jar. I'm scared"?
No, I think we've seen so many times in seasons past that people that lie about it create a bigger target on their back because the people aren't dumb. Yeah. They know what you're doing. So especially MC, someone who hasn't watched Survivor, who hasn't seen, gameplay like that before, that I got caught. So I'm going to tell her this is what I'm doing. But she was limited with her information that she allowed Savannah to know. And I think she also just has the social awareness to see like, all right, well, I guess I got to do this with Savannah watching. Like, she's not going anywhere. The amount of just awkward moments this episode, but I loved it. I craved it. I will tell you, I shrieked at that moment where MC sees it and Savannah spots it and Savannah fucking football dives for it. And I love that Savannah doesn't even know what she's looking for, but she's like, I'm going for it. I'm going to try to snag it out of her hands. Like, that was wild. And also, what a way to, like, really draw lines. Like, Savannah's playing hard, dude.
And, like, also, he's, like, the only one who doesn't want a reward.
It was special. It was fantastic. I'm happy MC got the idol, and I'm happy, again, lines were drawn. That was this whole episode, was the drawing of lines and seeing where people were. And then it led us to an amazing tribal council, Bailey. But before we get to tribal council, is there anything else I missed on the Bottoms Up Alliance that we want to get to? Because I think we've covered most of it.
Yeah, I think that's about everything with the Alliance, other than, Sage winning that advantage going into the immunity challenge we saw. I thought that was a very interesting game that they played with the tribe of just there's keys hidden all around the island. Find the keys, which cracked me up. It was such a game of luck. I think the best part of that whole little side quest that they went on was just Rizo sounding like Mario and Luigi. He goes, "Oh, I got one. Aha." Or like he did like a Mickey Mouse, like Mickey Mouse meets Mario and Luigi, aha. And it was the cutest little sound. Him and his tiny little mustache that's growing in. God, I love him.
12 days, Bailey, 12 days, and all he can get is the beginnings of a mustache. I love the kid. There's nothing you can point to that guy. I love the kid. Yeah, it leads us to tribal council. It's seemingly... People are wondering who has idols. People are wondering who has advantages. People are wondering who should we vote out, who should we point at. No one ever brings up Sophie B or Alex, which I thought was interesting. Instead, they think Sophie B and Alex are on their side, when really Sophie B and Alex, this is probably my biggest critique of the episode. I wanted to see them decide to agree to disagree, because Alex stayed with Hina, Sophie B stayed with Louie, when they should be working together. At least that's what we thought they were on. But they are on opposite sides of this war, the Montagues and the Capulets. Nate is the one chosen to go home from Hina because they believe Rizo has an idol. They believe Rizzo's going to place that idol on Savannah, so they choose Nate as the threat to go after. And Uli chooses Steven. They don't know who has an idol, although Savannah sees it later. They choose not to go after MC, instead taking down Steven. They can't take out Sophie with an E. She has immunity, and they don't think Kristina's a threat at all, which I wrote down once, and Kristina might last till the end because they did not show her once except for her falling out of a hammock. And I don't know.
I'm a much better physical threat.
If that proves well for anything else other than Kristina's going to be a fly on the wall lasting till the end. And everyone thinks they're okay. Everyone thinks they're safe. Everyone thinks the bad guy is on their side. And then Jawan starts saying, "Do you like scary movies, Jeff?" And we go down the road of a horror movie where the good guy thinks he's okay until the monster is lurking behind the corner. Bailey, I loved this whole thing.
I did too. I even wrote down, I was like, okay, who all is up for potential vote? Who's gonna possibly get a vote? I wrote Steven, MC, Nate, Rizo, Savannah. I was like, there are 5 different people I feel like could get votes thrown their way. I have no idea what's gonna happen. I was sitting there just like, it could go anyway. I thought Rizo was brilliant in telling everyone, I'm going to use my idol, no ifs, ands, or buts, because that immediately is going to create uncertainty. It's going to create chaos, and it did exactly what it needed to do. He was so smart doing that. This kid, I love hearing him. This is just a Rizo Stan podcast at this point, but I love the way he talks about Survivor. I love the way he talks about his strategy. He's so smart. He just gets it, and it's fun to listen to him. And I thought the horror movie references were so silly. Jawan is such a little weirdo, but in the best way. I love him. I love him so much. He's so funny. He's great entertainment. He's grown on me a lot too. But yeah, I had no idea what was going to happen. I truly was just like, all right, strap in, baby. Let's see what goes down.
And what does go down is, as you said, Rizo threatens to play his idol. He does not. Sophie B, who we will continue to call Sophie B or Sophie with an I. She does not want to be called Soph. You could see that as soon as Jeff says, do we want to call your blue Sophie and yellow Sophie? And then yellow Sophie went, no, I'm Sophie, she's Soph. And immediately the look of disgust
Her
on
face.
Sophie B's face.
Sophie was like,
We'll be calling...
Okay, I guess.
We'll be calling Sophie B Sophie B. We're going to continue to call her Sophie B. Thank you very much. She does not play. Her knowledge is power. MC, though, plays her idol. And MC has said that she's a new fan of the game and obviously isn't the super fan that Rizo is, hasn't seen everyone do everything yet, so is kind of playing by the seat of her pants. And no one votes for MC. This is a waste of an idol. And I think it's a really... it's easy to armchair quarterback this thing, but I think it was an unintelligent move because Rizo already showed her what to do. When Rizo throws out his idol and wears it around his neck, MC, that's when you go like, hey, buddy. Because Savannah's already, you know Savannah's seen you. You know Savannah has likely told them. So you pull it out too. Be like, yeah, I'm playing mine too. And for MC not to play it then on Steven, she didn't need to. But she could have blocked votes on the other biggest threat on Hina. Doesn't matter. That idol's into the wind and now back in the game, and who knows who gets it. But Nate, the important part is Nate thinks he's safe, and Nate goes home. Because, again, Alex from the original Blue Tribe, Sage and Jawan from the original Red Tribe have flipped. And that's the end of Nate, Bailey.
I'm sad to see him go. I will say, I don't think he deserved to be voted off. He didn't do anything. Like, I don't think he was that big of a threat. I think he was collateral damage, unfortunately, which is a bummer because he's a cool guy, but I got it right again. What can I say? I'm 5 for 6.
Every week we end this episode telling you who the MVP of the episode was and who's going to get voted off next. And Bailey again. She's 5 for 6 only because she missed an episode. Her record would probably be even better had she been here for episode 2. Like, she cannot be stopped when it comes to predicting people to go out. But yeah, let's Nate, as you said, I thought he played a very interesting game. I thought he was a threat to win this thing with how much he was like a politician almost. He was very well spoken. He did everything right. He was kind of a physical threat. He was an intelligent guy. So like, I understand them thinking he was a threat. We'll get into why we thought Louie was going to sweep this thing in a little bit, but Nate going home early and being the first member of the jury, it's official. We have started the jury. That's surprising, man. I did not expect it to happen this fast. I kind of wanted more from Nate, and I am, it's a sad deal. He did make the jury. He did make the merge. Congratulations to him. But we do say goodbye to every person voted out in Survivor in our own special way, because we cannot snuff out anyone's torch, but we can tip our cap, give a little eulogy to those that we have lost. So welcome once again to this week's edition of Survivor Gravestones.
Our Marvel Man of Wonder, I'm so sad to see you go, but no one could be sadder than Jawan and Rizo. You attempted a brave new world, but they saw you as a threat. You could only nerd out so much, our dearest Black Panther vet. So adios to Nate, our friend. I'll miss you oh so much, but I'm glad we won't have to explain a mukbang again. Okay, love ya. Keep in touch.
That's terrible. Thank you very much, Bailey.
Thank you.
This one goes to my guy, Nate. As the episodes rolled along, we thought he'd do great. Intelligent, well-spoken, fit in despite the gap in years. The kind of guy you wouldn't mind having over for a few beers. But then, as the scary music crept in, a blindside started forming, quick as the wind. And the old wise dog was put down as innocent as a pup, the first victim of the dreaded bottoms up. Goodbye, Nate.
Bye, buddy.
All right, Bailey, let's end this show with a little bit of a bigger picture discussion here, because as we said, Nate voted out, and we were surprised by that because of our own foibles. Jeff, before the reward challenge on this episode, says to the people of season 49 that there are spots on season 50 open, and they are looking for players, for people to make moves, for people to make an impact, because they could be asked back for the biggest season in Survivor history since Borneo. And this lit a fire under everyone's butts. There is no doubt in my mind that people started to go bananas after this reward challenge. Savannah and MC fighting each other for the keys, people throwing idols out there, Rizo making his play at Tribal Council, Jawan talking about scary movies. Everyone turned the intensity to 11 after this comment by Jeff. And we know, because it's been months since this has been filmed, there's been edited, we know season 50's already been filmed, we know who's in the cast. It is widely rumored, if not all but confirmed, by Survivor that it will be Rizo and Savannah who take part from season 49 into season 50. Rizo and Savannah. As we started watching season 49, who's on the same tribe at the beginning? Rizo and Savannah. Who's making an alliance with each other? Rizo and Savannah. Who's still there at the merge with the numbers, with Nate, with Jawan, with Sage? It's Rizo and Savannah. So we all assume, and I even said it on this podcast, that we kind of know how this story goes over these middle episodes. We're going to end up with some type of Uli fight at the end, which should be a lot of fun to watch because we like Rizo, we like Savannah, but it kind of gives away the plot a little bit in these middle episodes. We assume Hina's going to kind of fall by the wayside here. And yet, as we stand here now, 11 people turns to 10, and this powerful Uli group is now just Rizo and Savannah. Everyone is seemingly against them except for our girl, Sophie B. But even her, she can quickly go to the power side. They seem to be on an island alone. So I ask you, Bailey, was this whole season 50 cast, which I believe is still true, was this all a red herring for season 49 in that Rizo and Savannah might be going home sooner than we think? And the winner is actually either a Hina or a Kele member.
I do think that Rizo and Savannah are not going to be final three. I genuinely do feel that way. It doesn't feel like the numbers are going to work out that way. And if you look at the other season 50 cast, there's a lot of people that were not winners, that were not even top 5, top 6, but they were just big personalities and people that really played the game hard. I think that's what we're seeing specifically in this episode from the edit from Savannah. I mean, everyone's in love with Rizo. That is apparent. The internet loves him. Everyone on the tribe loves him. Jeff loves him. Rizzo's just a fan favorite. Savannah is playing really freaking hard, and she's kind of getting a villain edit, a little bit of a mean girl edit. I think they will both be lucky to make it to final 5, and I don't know if I see that happening. They both won't. That I feel very certain about. Maybe one of them. I don't think there's any way that they both are in the final 5 together. I just don't think it's possible.
I don't know how it's possible either. I don't know how the numbers flip. I don't know. I don't see Sage and Jawan coming back. I don't see, if anything, it's Sophie B convinces Alex to flip, but even then the numbers are not
Still
in their favor.
4.
They would have to make a bunch of moves. Sophie B would have to use that knowledge as power, get another idol out there. She could steal Rizzo's idol tomorrow. Like, we don't know how it's going to occur. And I'm going to be sad because, as you know, we play in a Survivor fantasy league, and I made Rizo my first choice because I thought the kid wins. However, my second guy is Jawan, who is a power player in this new Bottoms-Up Alliance. It's going to be crazy. By the way, if you're paying attention to the Survivor Squared Fantasy League, Nate is our first jury member. All the points count now, and Nate is now in the door with 5 total points, one of the lowest scores out there. Mr. Alex Lewis had Nate. He also had a guy named Matt. Only one person left for Alex Lewis, and it's the kid named Alex. So good luck, Lewis. Hope you win. When we started doing this podcast, when I thought about doing this, I was like, all right, we're going to cover season 49, but the hope is to build up a following, to build up a fan base here, and then when we get to season 50, we are rolling because it should be the biggest season ever. And I started to get a little bit disappointed in the fact that we know who goes to season 50, so it kind of tells the tale of season 49. And Survivor, it's kind of like knowing your Christmas presents before you open them up on Christmas Day. And so I was kind of worried that this season might be a little bit like we know what the plot is. We know what the story is. It might be a little formulaic, and it might be a little bit boring to cover. So we might not exactly have so much fun doing this podcast. That's not true, by the way. I love doing this podcast with you. But those thoughts did creep into my mind. If Survivor pulled this off, and said, yeah, these two are on 50, but they're not making it to Thanksgiving. I cannot commend them enough if that is truly the case, because they are right now on the absolute bottom. And if you had to pick who wins this, the last picks you'd make would be Savannah and Rizo based on what's here. So unless there's a miraculous comeback and a victory out of nowhere by these two, or if Survivor pulled off the absolute heist of the century here and said, yeah, these two are on season 50, they're second and third on the jury, I commend them immensely.
I really think that next episode we could see either Rizo or Savannah win immunity, and then they would also have Rizzo's immunity idol. That would keep them both safe for one more week, and that would make Hina have to swap on someone or look towards Sophie and Alex as the outsiders from Kella. So, and I think that they have the capacity to do that. I think Rizo and Savannah could somehow make that work. Or, like you said, you know, an idol was just used. That idol will go back into play. We've seen Savannah thirsty for a freaking idol this season. She might try to go after that. I think that will change the trajectory of it all, because if Hina does have to go after themselves and get one of those people out, that could shift tribe alliances right again, too. I mean, it could really upset a lot of things. I want that to happen, also selfishly, because Savannah is on my fantasy team. I want her to win in immunity. I want her to stay. I just don't think they'll stay the entire way, but I don't think we're going to see the last of them quite yet. I don't think either of them are ready to go next episode. Maybe episode 9, but I think episode 8, I'm rooting for them both. I think we get at least one more week with both of them.
Well, let's get to predictions then, Bailey. You are knocking it out of the park when it comes to these. You've nailed all of them. First, I want to tell you the MVP of the episode. And surprisingly enough, Bailey, I think it's Sophie with an E. I think it's the Sophie that took her own name, that made Sophie be Soph. Jeff is calling Sophie be Soph because of Sophie with an E. And then winning individual immunity. I wrote down the most unlikely winner. She also, Bailey, is on your fantasy team. She is the leader in the clubhouse in individual points in our fantasy league. She has done everything correctly so far. And her little line about how this goes out to my mom because she's so competitive and she made me competitive, that's me. That's my family to a T. And so Sophie with an E finally showed up on Survivor 7 episodes in, and she is the MVP of this episode. Do you agree?
I completely agree. On top of that, they, in the edit for the key adventure that they went on for the advantage, they made it seem like she almost had it too. She was the one right before stage that she said it almost went. I thought she was about to get the advantage and then also win the immunity, which would have been crazy. I mean, she was probably my last pick to win immunity. I can't believe she pulled it out. So, and I think she's way more of a beast than we think. I think she's more of an athlete than we think she is. So I couldn't agree with you more. I think Sophie definitely wins the MVP from this. We just really finally got to see her and start to understand that she might be way more of a threat than we initially thought.
The next person voted out of Survivor, Bailey, I think you are pretty spot on with the way you said you think Savannah and or Rizo win immunity, and then Savannah and or Rizo play an idol, so both of them are safe. But there's still one more person who voted with Uli. I think it's the last days of our girl, Sophie B. I think it's the end of her run, sadly, because she's been wonderful to watch. I've enjoyed every moment on screen with her, and I hope I'm wrong. But I think Sophie B is my pick. What about you?
I don't know. She still has her knowledge is power. She still gets along with a lot of people. She's not that big of a physical threat. So while, yes, she is still aligned with Rizo and Savannah, I think she could swap. I think she could go back with Alex, and I think Alex could campaign for her to still be in with some Hina people. So I'm not ready for her to go yet. I don't know. I'm going to go with MC. I know we talked about that previously before, but I think people are going to realize what a physical threat she is. And I think if Savannah and Rizo can pull out what I hope they can, and Hina has to look inwards at themselves, it's not going to be Kristina. It could be Sophie with an E after her performance last week, but I still think, she just showed she had an idol. She used it incorrectly. People know she doesn't have it now. I think the target might be on MC, and that's who I'm going with, because I refuse to say Sophie with an I.
Who's your new final 3, Bailey, before we go out? If Uli's not going to do it, who's your new final 3?
Steven, Alex, Sophie with an E. No, I take it back. Steven, shoot. Because I think Kristina will get there, just being carried there is the problem. But I think I think either Steven or Alex, one of them is going to be there. Potentially Kristina and potentially Rizo. I think Rizo might make it further. I don't think Savannah will. I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think Savannah will either. I think you're right on with Alex. I think it's Alex, Steven, and our girl Sage. I think those are your final three.
You think the bottom-up
Sage,
alliance, two of them are going to get there?
The fact that Jawan and Sage are with Hina, like Hina can now pick itself apart. They can say like, all right, this guy's a threat. I'm going to take him out. I don't want to work with MC anymore. She's going to win all the physical. Like they can take each other out and now be okay. And maybe that's how Rizo and Savannah survive. But I do think this bottoms up alliance, as silly as it's named, I got a lot of hope here because Jawan is a player. We've seen that. Jawan, every single time someone's been voted out, Jawan has been like, I'm going to go have a solo conversation with them and I'm going to make sure that they feel okay. Like he's intelligent at this game. Steven, intelligent at this game. Sage has everyone wrapped around her finger. They're going to know what things are happening and they're going to be tough to take out. So yeah, I think the bottoms up alliance has a run here and I think Alex middles his way to a final, much like we've seen before in a 3-tribe season. But that is it for this episode of Survivor Squared. We have a special one coming out at the start of next week, and then me and Bailey are back to talk about episode 8 this time next week. We shall see you there. And Bailey, I don't know how to end this. How do you end this with a scary movie? Is there some type of slasher cut we can make?
Yeah, probably just put Ghostface and just like a jump.